On this frigid February edition of Inside Bellingham, we'll take a trip over to Bellingham's Maritime History Museum to see what's going on. And the city is in the process of changing over to a new phone system to provide better service. We'll find out what that means for you. And a visit with new council member Jack Weiss. And potholes got you depressed? Well, chin up, bucko. Finally something this world can really use. A better pothole eliminator. And the city's skateboard park gets plenty of action, even in winter. We'll meet some expert users. All this and a winter sleigh full of information more, right here on Inside Bellingham. Hi, and welcome to Inside Bellingham. I'm Doug Waldo. And this is the site of the new Art and Children's Museum at Flora Street. It's finally beginning to look like something other than a large hole in the ground. Walls are going up, and it looks more like the launch of a building than a giant dirt park. And when it's complete, it will be a great community asset and a centerpiece for the Bellingham Arts District. We'll find out more in a special report next month on Inside Bellingham. Improving the safety of our streets for drivers, pedestrians, and bicyclists is the primary purpose of the pothole crew. Every winter, potholes become the plague of the Public Works Department. But a new substance, has been discovered that literally turns this annual challenge into Easy Street. Tim Morris fills us in.
Today we're here because we've successfully filled most of the potholes in Bellingham on the major thoroughfares and arterials. And so after we get that done, we move into the alleys and we go down the alleys making sure that it's pothole free. Basically, most of the potholes come during the winter time because when you have extensive rain and then you have freezing and then it keeps shifting all the time, and with the heavy machinery and vehicles running through the alleys, it tends to pull the asphalt up and make a pothole. So during the winter time, we're extremely busy filling potholes. Now with this new material out called Easy Street, it's been on the market for a couple of years. It's pliable, it's bulletproof, and it's something that we can put down in an alley, and it's a permanent fixture. So that if we want to do more work in the alley, we can come right over with hot asphalt, and on major thoroughfares, it lasts for a year, maybe a year and a half with a lot of traffic on it. We're constantly out daily, a team of 11 working on the road to make it safe. And I think that sometimes people forget that it takes a lot of work to keep a road healthy and safe. A couple weeks ago, an older gentleman called one in, and he's been driving through it for he said for a month, and the thing was 5 by 6 by almost 20 inches deep. And we came up and looked at that, and it took us, an hour to fix, but we put it back together. But it's waiting too long and letting the weather damage bigger areas. It makes it harder for us to work on them. It's easier to call in than to avoid a hole and maybe possibly get into an accident. Just to call it in when it's a safe area to call in, and we'll come out and fix it for you because we want it to be safe for you. All right, we're in an alley now, and this is a pothole. It's probably a medium to a large pothole. You can see that the asphalt is torn away and that it's a fairly good sized one. It's probably 3.5 feet by 5 feet long. And you can see that it could cause a lot of damage to a lower vehicle. not so much a truck, but a small vehicle. And what we're going to do is we're going to come in, clean out the area, and we're going to re-asphalt it over so the water can't stay in this area.
If you see a pothole, our hard-working street team want to know about it. So take a minute to give Public Works a call at 778-7700. As you probably know, Bellingham has 3 new council members in 2008, and we like to give you a chance to meet each and every one of them so you can find out a little bit more about the people we've elected to represent us to city government. On this edition of Inside Bellingham, we'd like you to meet Council Member Jack Weiss, who represents Ward 1.
Jack, as one of our more recent city council members, tell us about your background. What got you on the city council?
Well, I've lived in the city of Bellingham for about 20 years, a little over that, and I've seen a lot of changes, and some of this stuff has been just great, and I really am very impressed with how our community has responded to both the growth issues and to really evolving as a mid-sized type of community town, and I want to help out with that in the worst way. We have all of these opportunities, and I think we're at the special time in our history, our town's history, that we really have decisions that we in this next year or two that will really define who we're going to be in the future. I have experience with different nonprofits, and also I've worked for government for a number of years too, being the recycling coordinator for Whatcom County, the only recycling coordinator in fact, and setting up programs like curbside recycling and the funding for what is now known as the Restore. I have also worked in affordable housing. I've worked in other energy fields like solar, developing solar energy work. I have also done community work like being on greenways for maybe over 10 years or so, and helping with the development of the trail and park system for our community. I have also been the president of the Birchwood Neighborhood Association and helping them reform the group about a year ago or so when we didn't really have much of an association at that time, and we reformed based on some things that came up. And all of those experiences, I think, allow me to be able to offer help with our challenges that we have in the near future.
What are your committee responsibilities on the city council?
Well, the City Council has created a couple new committees, standing committees. One associated with waterfront redevelopment and another one for transportation issues. Both of them are fairly critical in our community, as most know. I volunteered to be the chair for both of them, and I hope that I can provide some leadership in the direction to make sure that the waterfront is what we want it to be. The Transportation Committee is another committee that the City Council has established that's new, and I really do hope to provide some leadership in trying to resolve some of our transportation problems and look at it in a new light than we have in the past. I'm also a liaison from the City Council to the Library Board. The Library Board this year will be bringing forward a ballot initiative for a bond issue to build and expand our library services, which are so desperately needed and I hope that are supported within our community.
You can find out a lot more about Bellingham City Council by visiting their website at, you guessed it, www.cob.org, and then click on the Government tab. The city's phone system is our principal structure for communicating with you, the public. Hundreds of phone calls are taken every business day. Now, granted, our phones are not quite as old as this one at the American Museum of Radio and Electricity here in Bellingham, but the current phone system, consisting of over 750 separate desk sets spread out over dozens of miles of phone lines, is simply incapable of providing many phone services that allow modern and efficient communication with businesses and residents. And so, a new phone system is being phased in over the next several months, and that means new phone numbers for each city department. We asked the city's information technology manager, Marty Mulholland, to fill us in.
I'm here to let you know about a project we're working on that replaces the telephone systems that we use here at the city. We have telephone systems in over 30 locations throughout the city, and we're replacing not only those systems, but the telephone numbers that the public will use to access city services and departments in the future. This is a complex project and a significant one from a funding standpoint. In 2007, the city appropriated $1.7 million to replace the telephone systems in these 30 locations and also to do network upgrades that were required to let the new systems operate.
I'll transfer you, thank you. Good afternoon, City of Bellingham.
In order to take advantage of new telephone systems technology, we acquired a new block of telephone numbers that will be used by city services and departments. The city will be migrating to our new telephone numbers in January and February of 2008. In order to ensure a transparent process for the public, we'll be actually forwarding the old numbers to the new telephone numbers for several months. We also want to get the word out about the new telephone numbers, so we'll be posting the new phone numbers on our website. We'll be sending it out to utility customers in your utility bills in February and March of 2008. This project has been an interesting one and a challenging one from my perspective. And actually, I've been looking forward to working on it since I started at the city 4 years ago. The city really will stand to benefit by having better call handling features in the new systems, and the project is under budget and going well.
To get a list of new city phone numbers as they are phased in, head to our website at www.cob.org and click on New City Telephone Numbers. Bellingham's proximity to the bay and the surrounding water means that it has a fascinating maritime history. The Lummies, who of course settled here first, still have a very strong and deep connection to the water. Now, over the years, as our town grew, it hosted a variety of fishing and boat building industries. Today, those same industries continue to capitalize on Bellingham's maritime features. Now, Bellingham's International Maritime Museum on Cornwall, near the old GP Mill, is capturing, honoring, and preserving some of this area's richest maritime history.
If a visitor comes to the Bellingham International Maritime Museum, the one thing that they're going to see is boats, lots of boats. Boats of all sizes, from little ones to larger ones, boats that have been used for recreational boating, commercial fishing, military uses.
When the children first come in, when they react to something, that becomes then my favorite exhibit, because they will immediately point and start running, and then I know, this is my favorite today. And then the other favorite I have is the hovercraft.
Well, this is probably one of the most popular pieces in the museum, and also it's significant because of it's an absolute rarity. It's the sole surviving U.S. Navy patrol air cushion vehicle from Vietnam. It can go across water, it can go across land, it can go over sand dunes, it can go over ice, across swamps. And it's absolutely the most fun thing to operate of anything you've ever seen in your life. It's just like drifting sideways on ice all the time. So it's a great feeling. It was very effective in its use in Vietnam. And the fact that it is the sole survivor puts it on a sort of Smithsonian level of rarity. So we're quite lucky to have it. One of the things about it that's interesting is that the gray hull behind is a Uniflight PBR. We were able to track its history, and beyond belief we found that the Mark I hull that we've got and this patrol air cushion vehicle served at the same base in Vietnam at the same time. They went their separate ways. They're both so totally rare that the idea that they're reunited in Bellingham under one roof is just statistically improbable, and it's an absolutely magic sort of a deal. They're both wonderful craft, and we often think at night they sit down here and talk, war stories about the old days that they served together in Vietnam.
I really like the models, and I like the models because they give a person a sense of being able to wrap their hands around an entire boat. And so often, when we look at boats, all we see is what's above the water. You look at a model and you can see the construction there, you can see what's beneath the water, and you really get a sense of the variety of boats, what's different and what's similar.
This is a model of a Liberty ship, an exact model taken off the plans. Now, it's an exact thing. Everything on there is what you would see on a Liberty ship. So, as I say, we're very proud. These old babies hauled everything. Yeah, there wasn't any commodity or anything that was ever manufactured that the services needed that they didn't get right on one of these.
One of the things that we learned early on, when we started the museum, we thought, boy, this is going to be just great fun. We're going to go out and find these great old vessels like the PBRs, and we'll collect them and we'll put them back in the water and rehabilitate them and restore them and all that sort of stuff. And then we started having veterans who heard about us come from around the country to see these old vessels that they'd served on in Vietnam and in combat. We soon learned that this wasn't so much about the vessels, it was about the people. And we've had some wonderful people who've come in and been just very moved emotionally by being reunited with the craft they actually physically served on.
Until the existence of the museum, there really was no place that people could come to take in the rich history that exists here. Things like archaeological finds, anchors that the museum has recovered from ships that have grounded out in the seas around here.
We've been lucky enough to be chosen one of 200 museums to have the Smithsonian Institute provide an exhibit for us called From Sea to Shining Sea, a history of charting the coasts of America.
I'm just so pleased that we have an opportunity to have a museum like this, that people in our community and people from around the country and around the world can visit. And I'm also pleased that we've gotten such support from the local community, from the port, from the city. It makes me know that a museum like this will continue to grow and thrive, and that makes me really happy.
You can visit the museum at 800 Cornwall Avenue in Bellingham on Saturdays from noon to 3, or you can call 592-4112 for an appointment. Every once in a while, we like to give a quiz to you here on Inside Bellingham, and here's another one. Where in the city can you find a snake run, death cup, fun box, flat rail, and vertical wall? All for your enjoyment. Ding! Time's up! Well, of course, it's here at Bellingham's very popular skate park. We asked some local skaters to kind of fill us in on how they use all these crazy elements.
Charlie Craig. It's just a great environment. I've been skating for about 7 years now. It's always fun to go hang out with your friends, learn some new tricks. There's never any pressure out here. The object is whatever you make it. There's never really anything you have to do. It's all what you want to do. All the tricks can be varied into all sorts of things, like flip into a grind or flip into, say, even an air out in the bowl. It all just depends on what you like to do. Depends on how you use all the obstacles.
Yeah, me and my son come down occasionally, you know. I'm trying to think, this is probably the third time we've been here. Well, Reed is into it, so I'm trying to keep up and not kill myself in the process. So I guess I'm looking for a controlled thrill.
You could go from one obstacle to the next, like just, you could flow around from box to ledge to rail to a little transition here, and you just you keep circling around and around and around.
Skate Park is open from 8 a.m. to dusk every day. It is not supervised, so use it at your own risk. Safety equipment is highly recommended. Well, spring is only about a month away, so dust off the old barbecue and get the lawnmower serviced. If you have springtime feedback or ideas, we'd love to hear from you. You can reach us through our website or directly via email. Next month is one of the most exciting times of the year around here. The days are getting longer and spring is popping out everywhere. And of course, you can watch it all in our splendid parks and all along our wonderful network of trails. So get out if you can and enjoy our neighborhoods. You'll be glad you did. I'm Doug Waldo. Thanks for watching.